happened is they went and came and they started filling out all the paperwork, and she went and put refused on it, which, you know, she shouldn't have even done that. She shouldn't have given them nothing. She should have told them, get out of here. You know what I mean? But my wife is, you know, most women are not really confrontational. I mean, that's, I think, more the guys kind of thing, you know? I mean, I'm a kind of in-your-face sort of guy. My wife is just not, you know, and I don't blame her. I mean, I kind of like her the way she is. Anyways, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was just at, I want to say birth, but it's not.
Sorry?
The event of a baby being born.
Uh-huh.
I was just there 3 weeks ago.
A delivery.
And it's, yeah, there you go. And it's still voluntary. It is still voluntary, but it's right on the paperwork in the hospital.
Right.
When they ask you,
Right.
but you still opt in or opt out.
Right, and well, and my wife put refused on there, you know, and that's fine. You know, that's better than nothing. I would have preferred that she didn't give him anything and told him, get out of here, you know, but if I'd have been there, I would have told him that. Yes?
Well, my daughter-in-law had a miscarriage about 2 weeks ago. They came into her room afterwards, and they forced my son and her to give the baby a name so that they could draw up the documents.
Oh.
Well, death
Yeah, again.
certificates are very valuable.
Again, you know, I mean,
I made money on that.
see, what happens, I'll tell you right now, the hospital makes $4,000. Hospital gets $4,000. So not only, like in the States, you pay $2,500 to go and have your baby in the hospital, right, or whatever it is, $5,000 or whatever it is. You see what I'm saying? And so you're paying the hospital all this money, and then they're turning around and registering this birth and getting another $4,000. I mean, talk about a money-making business. So why are we surprised why they want you to come and have your baby in the hospital? But again, there's nothing saying you have to. And my wife, when she was younger, she would prefer to have the baby at home. I had my daughter was born in Ontario, in Uxbridge, Ontario. Well, there's no hospital in Ontario, and so she was the New Year's baby. She was born on the 1st of January, but she could have been the New Year's baby if she was born on the 10th of January, because nobody's born in Uxbridge. Anyways, so you know, so you got to understand that any of their contracts, they're not, law merchant contracts are not even close to being valid. Any contract has to be knowing, willing, intentional, and they're not even close to that, okay? Law merchant contracts, you're part of a private club, and I don't want anything to do with them. Now, some people know how to operate in that system, and more power to them, in my opinion, but I think some of it is gonna, I don't know, I'm concerned, quite frankly, it's gonna be a Trojan horse, and I'm also concerned that, like bonds, I've seen too many people end up in jail over bonds. And because bonds are very technical, and you have to do them right, and if you don't do them right, they won't work. And then, when you do the bond, you admit the debt. And so then, they come after you and get their money. They want their 5 pounds of flesh. And that's why they wind up in jail.
Need to give him a surety.
Yeah, well, that's what a bond is, right? You're saying you're admitting the debt, and you're saying, okay, I agree, I owe you the debt, go collect it from the treasury.
Well, no, you have to also provide a surety with the bond.
Well, that's true,
Yeah.
but that's what you're saying.
If you don't, then your body is the surety.
I promise to pay. That's what a bond is. A bond is I promise to pay.
Yeah.
Right? And so then what happens is you promise to pay. You admit the debt. When you promise to pay, you admit the debt. I mean, the scriptures, and I think it's in Psalms or Proverbs, says, "Don't be the surety for any man." Anyways, this is one of the things I put in there. I'm again a kind of in-your-face sort of guy. I tell them that I have the right to resist unlawful arrest with lethal force if necessary. I'll tell you, those cops down in Lethbridge were worried. They said, "Your guns aren't in the car, are you?" I said, "No." I said, "I left them in Montana because the crooks at the border made me do that." And they asked me 2 or 3 times, and I said, "I already told you." They said, "We're in Montana," and I said, "It's none of your business." You know, I started getting upset. I told them it's none of their business. They wanted my U.S. passport, my straw man's U.S. passport. And I told them it's none of your business. They didn't get it. They didn't complain. Anyways, what may be murder in the first case may be nothing more than manslaughter in the other, or the facts might show that no offense has been committed. You have the right to resist unlawful arrest with lethal force if necessary. And unlawful arrest is any restraint upon your liberty unless they witness a felony. If they witness a felony, Walmart Rent-A-Cop can arrest you if he witnesses a felony. Theft, murder, something like that. I always sign it and seal it in red ink on the land of Alberta or Texas or wherever I happen to be. Red ink is what sovereigns use. And they always sign on the right-hand side of the page. You ever seen a court document that's signed by a judge? Always on the right-hand side of the page.
Creditor.
Always on the right-hand side of the page. And so I put all that stuff in there, and that's why they don't want to talk to me. Because I'm coming in there like, I'm telling them what to do. I like at least 2 witnesses, preferably 3 or more. Using 26 will demonstrate that I can convene a grand jury. Make sure you send your notice of demand by registered mail. Registered mail, the reason it's registered mail, a lot of these postal clerks will say, oh, you don't need to do that, you certify. And I tell them, I want this thing kept under lock and key. I'm preparing a lawsuit, and I want to know that it's been received. I want it kept under lock and key, and there's a chain of custody too that's kept with registered mail. So it's admissible as evidence in court. And a better way to affect service is by personal service with 3 or 4 people. Because a lot of these judges, they're used to lying all the time. And so they'll sit there and say, well, I didn't get anything. Now, are you going to call a judge a liar?
Yeah.
So the objective is to build a case against them. And they know. They know exactly what you're doing. Yes?
So then you could have a second one, and when he says he didn't receive it, then could you say to him in court, here it is, here's another one?
Well, you could, but it's a little late. You always have to give it to them in advance. I mean, the whole purpose of this is to do it before they even have you on the radar. Okay?
Okay.
Before they're even seeing you on the radar. You have this, you built your case, and then they violate your rights, and you got it right where it counts. It's before they ever see you on the radar. If you have to do it after, it's really tough.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
really tough. And they're grinding you through your system, and so you're fighting all of that and having to deal with looting and everything else. I mean, it's really tough. You do it in advance. I went and did it with the city of Lethbridge in advance. And it's still gonna be tough, because they're not just gonna roll over. But I guarantee you, by the time I'm done with them, I guarantee you the next guy, they will just like turn and run. If they do anything other than grovel, then I file a criminal complaint. And let them prove they're honoring their oath of office. And I attach my evidence, okay? This is my evidence. And my proof of service, registered mail. And what I'll do is I'll make up a criminal complaint, and I'll go through, and you'll see in there, okay? Each of these, I forgot to tell you, last week, you know, what happened when I made the copies is their copier, this was at Staples out in West Edmonton, and their copier went and it died right when I was almost done. And so they had no idea how many copies, and I says, I have no idea. I said, I've done hundreds, but I don't know beyond that. And their copier died, and so they really had no idea. They had to make an educated guess. So last week I got them pretty cheap, and so I sold them pretty cheap. But I went and had to pay for these ones, and their copier didn't die. And so basically I'm charging like about maybe double the cost of copying is all I'm charging. So $50 is what I'm looking for these. And they're both sides of the page. Anyways, so if you want one, let me know, and you can have one. But so in here, there's sample criminal complaints. There's more stuff than what was in the last one. I added a few things. There's more criminal complaints is what there is. Most of my criminal complaints I record because again, I'm kind of in your face sort of guy. And when I record them, then it's, you know, out there for everybody to look at. And I send them a copy, and I don't worry about a certified copy or anything like that because it's recorded. If they want to go look at it, they can go to the county recorder's website and look at it. And so I just sent them a copy. And so you make up your criminal complaint and you attach your evidence, right? And then you number the pages. If you look at these criminal complaints, the pages will be numbered. The first, like the actual affidavit is maybe 16 pages. So then the next page will be 17, I write it in, 18, 19, you know, some of them are 75 pages. And it's got all my evidence that I built up and attached to it. And so this, like one in Lethbridge is probably gonna be, because I got the chief of police and so the first one is probably gonna be, you know, maybe 50 pages. Because I got 2 notices, right, that I sent. Each one of those is maybe 15, 16 pages, that's 32. You know, it won't take long, be easy to get up to 50. So, and then what I do is I send it to their boss, okay? In Lethbridge, their boss is the Attorney General for Alberta, okay? He's their boss. I'll send them a courtesy copy. I'll send matter of fact, I'll probably go into the chief of police and I'll say, you're fired, and I'll give him this, you've been served, crook, you know, cuss out a little bit, thief, criminal, and you've been served. And oh, by the way, this is going to the provost marshal and the attorney general, and anyways, go ahead.
Can I come with you when you go do that?
Sure.
I'd like to do
I'm a kind of belligerent, in-your-face sort of guy. You watch. I mean, they start. I'll tell you, they'll cower. You watch. I'm telling you, when you come into them, when they're looking you up, they're like Joe Hot Rod. You know what I mean? But when you come into them, I'll tell you, the whole thing changes. The whole thing changes. You're served, criminal. Anyways, so I sent it to their boss, and then what I'll do is I'll give them 30 days, 3 minutes. And then I gotta stop? Okay.
What about 30 days?
I give them 30 days, and I start the next one. I've already started the next one. I did one for Canada Border Protection Agency. And I've already got the next one going. And one thing that, you know, you can use witnesses, but I like to use a notary because it's in their system, and it's big time in their face. Again, I'm a kind of in your face sort of guy. And so I like to use a notary, and I'll notarize it. And I even put in the notary statements. I kind of have these notary statements down pretty good, and the notaries don't have a problem with it. It says that I'm a sovereign living soul and a holder of the office of the people. The notary, in the notary statement, the notary is saying, I hereby witness the signature of Glenn Winningham, House of Byrne, a sovereign living soul and a holder of the office of the people. I got this officer of the court saying that I'm a sovereign living soul and a holder of the office of the people. I guess we better pause it here. Anyways, so I sent it to the boss, and we'll continue on after. Let me,
you know, we're right at break time anyhow.
the Word documents, you know, and you can download them and all the rest of it.
And while we're on this, I just wanted to mention something, and it really shocked me the other day. I Googled my name, and you may want to do this. Google my name if you like. But somebody has put the whole mailing list for this group on Google under my name.
Oh,
And of course, they have me, because my emails come out with my corporate email that I'm sending you people, and it says CEO and president. Everybody thinks I'm the CEO and president of this group, and therefore I'm the ringleader, and I'm on international now. You know, so whoever is putting this crap out, you know, are you brain dead or what? You know, that's all I'm asking is, you know, have a little bit of respect for other people's privacy.
I think it is brain dead because no one with the right mind would do something like
You'd
that.
be surprised there are some brain dead people.
But I'm, you know, these are things that you have to be aware of, and you know, we need to protect one another's
Yeah,
privacy,
step away from the computer.
you know?
is there a way to erase it once?
Yeah, you contact Google.
Whoever
Tell them
put
was
it there
put
has to be
incorrectly.
the one, though, I think.
And I don't know who put it there, so I can't tell you, but
Send
there's
Google
2 or 3
lawsuits.
things. Anyhow, I just want to mention that, so have at it. Glenn?
All right. Yeah, and my documents, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in there, but it may not be right for you. You gotta be comfortable with it, you know? I mean, I'm a kind of in-your-face sort of guy. And, you know, you have to be comfortable with some of the stuff I'm saying, and you should take it out if it's not comfortable, if you're not comfortable with it. It's your document. And definitely take my name out.
Yeah.
The headers and footers too. I got my name, I always copy claim all my pages and stuff on my my notices. If you notice, I have I copy claim them, and that makes it so that if they want to use my document, if they want to file an action against me, then they're gonna have to pay the fee. And I think they understand that because, you know, if they want to even, not even just file an action against me, if they want to, like, make a photocopy, you know, and take it over to their buddy, I mean, there's a fee, that's copyrighted, you know, that's
And they
copyrighted.
do that too, they're known to do, whatever you filed with them, they'll use it against you and just create a double document and give it back to you.
Sure, yeah, and what that does is that generates a fee, you know, and
Take your court case.
there's a lot of money involved in that, I'll tell you, and they know it, and so it's I like it, you know, I don't know how necessary it is with the actual criminal complaint. I never do that on there because that's strictly common law. And there's no, there is a common law copyright, but I want them, I'm a kind of in-your-face sort of guy, and so I take all the footers and stuff off of there, and except for, there's a footer that says affidavit of criminal complaint, you know, page number or whatever, that's it, you know, just to keep the pages numbered and to keep the criminal complaint straight, because I do a lot of them, and so that's the only footer that I have on there. I have no copyrights or anything on that. It's because I want them to take that into court, or somebody to take that into court and bring some charges against these criminals. So, anyways, so I always send it to their boss. Like for example, Canada Customs. That criminal complaint went to the Attorney General for Canada. No, yeah. What happened is I sent a notice to the port director down here. His name's Gary Selk. And then I also sent a notice to the Minister of Public Safety. His name is Vic Toes. And so what I did is I filed a criminal complaint against the port director, Gary Selk, and the Minister of Public Safety, Vic Toes, and their hired thugs at the border. And I sent the criminal complaint to the Attorney General for Canada. Well, the next criminal complaint is going to have the Attorney General on there, and he's going to be named as a co-conspirator and accomplice after the fact with these other criminals because he isn't doing anything about it. And I'll send that to the Prime Minister and the Governor General. And that's why, if you notice here, there's notices here for the Prime Minister and the Governor General because they're going to get a notice there too, demanding that they remove these criminals and have them prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And then what will happen is I'll give that about 30 days, and then I'll make another criminal complaint, and I'll name the Prime Minister and the Governor General and the Attorney General and the Public Safety Minister of Public Safety and Jerry Selk. You know, I'll name them all as co-conspirators and accomplices after the fact and all that, and I'll send it to the Queen. And then after about 30 days, I'll make up another one and I'll add the Queen, and I'll send her a copy. And before I send it to her, I'll record it. Guaranteed by then I'll make it. I'll record it. I'll record that one for sure. And I'll send her a copy. And that'll probably be, that one might be, you know, that one might be 100 pages because of all these other criminal complaints that'll be incorporated into it. And but I guarantee you, it rolls downhill, and stuff will happen. So, you know, that's all you can do. And so then with the city of Lethbridge, you know, the Attorney General, Alberta Attorney General is going to get it, and then the Premier and the Lieutenant Governor, right? And then what I'll do also is I'll go down to the Crown Prosecutor down there, their office, and I'll say, who's the Crown Prosecutor down here? I want to know who's the head guy, and they'll give me his name. And then I'll serve him with a notice of demand, and I'll demand that he dismiss this case immediately, and I'll attach the criminal complaint, and he'll be added to the next one. And then there's an Alberta. There's a prosecutor over all of Alberta. Okay, so then he'll get it. He'll get added, and then I'll go and file a criminal complaint with the. I've already been thinking about this, eh?
No kidding.
Yeah, I lay awake at night dreaming this stuff up, eh? I'll go down and I'll file an information with the local judge, right? And of course they're going to say, "Whoa, I can't file that." And I'll say, oh, "That's okay. I'll take some witnesses. I'll file a criminal complaint against him, and I'll send it to there's a presiding judge in Edmonton, and there's a deputy presiding judge for the provincial courts in Alberta in Calgary. So I'll go and send it to them, and I'll say, you've got some perjurers going on down here, and they won't file this criminal complaint, and then I'll add them. I'll add them after 30 days. So I'll invite a bunch of people to the party. Let's party over this. You know? Let's party. And I guarantee you they're going to be, by the time I'm done, they're gonna be taking my name in vain. I'll tell them, go ahead, send your hired thugs over to my house and take me out back and blow my brains out. And, you know, because, you know, the sooner I'm out of here, the better. If these criminals are gonna be running the show, I don't wanna be here anyways. That's my attitude. So much for that. I get belligerent, but I see court cases that say that the only person that has any rights is a belligerent claimant. So, anyways, after 30 days, I'll add their boss. And as I keep going up to the chain of command, up to and including the Queen. I'll add the Queen, I'll record the document, I'll send her a copy.
When you send it to the Queen, do you send it to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II or the woman, House of Windsor?
Oh. I'll send it to the title, basically, because that's on the website.
Yeah.
Queen Elizabeth II, yeah, I'll send it to that. That's okay. She knows what happens when her servants get out of control, because she's had a couple of predecessors. She got one that got hung, you know, so I'm sure she knows what happens. And that's why I think she'll take it seriously. I think she's probably a pretty good person, you know, but, you know, if we don't say nothing, I mean, she's got nothing going, does she? So we have to say something, don't we? I'll bet you it rolls downhill. I know it does. And one thing to keep in mind is that the Queen has decided recently not just to rubber stamp the Governor General appointment. You know, I don't know, in the past, traditionally, the Queen would just appoint whoever the Prime Minister recommended, right? She doesn't do that anymore. When you use this procedure in an ensuing action, it essentially becomes a counterclaim. And what I'll do is and when they won't let me file see, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here. I might get a job and have to go to the States. But when I go down to the courts in Lethbridge and try and file an information against these criminals, and the judge doesn't let me, and then I start inviting all the rest of these judges, and then what I'll do is I'll go back. I'll bet you they'll let me. Anyways, so we'll see what happens. Invite them to the party. Always take the initiative. You go on the attack. You got to go after them and grind them through your system. That's right. In the States, now here in Canada, maybe this isn't possible, but I know in the States, you can find out who the judge is. You can show up at his chambers anytime. And you just go in there and you say, I demand that this take some witnesses with you. I want this thing dismissed right now. And yes.
Here in Edmonton, there's city law courts and all that. There's a justice of the peace. Could you go in there and get him to handle this before you even go to court?
I hadn't really considered that. I was going to just deal with it in the court. Actually, I was going to deal with it with the prosecutor first. You know, and I was going to file a criminal complaint and serve it on the prosecutor, and then at the same time start administrating the judges. Okay, take my criminal complaint and try and file the information, and if the judges don't want to do it, which they probably won't. I mean, they tend to get scared about that kind of stuff. So then I'll file a criminal complaint against them, and send it to their bosses. You know, because they all have bosses. Just have to know who it is. You can find their bosses. It's amazing how much information you can find on the internet.
Also, like, the only time I've dealt with the justice of the peace is over traffic tickets when I was driving cabs.